I gotta make Worlds. I mean, I've been playing with the, as long as you possibly can in Smite, and it's the biggest accolade, it's the biggest stage. And
I think going there last year as an analyst was a really fun experience, and I'd love to do it again, but I'm still super competitive and playing is still my passion, so.
I've kind of put everything into this year because I know my team's really strong and we like to grind hard, and I feel like we have a really good shot at making it.
This year is my year.
Hopefully, I can come back in Season 4. And this time, I guess I'll just pick my teammates better, I suppose. But looking forward to Season 4. And, yeah, that's kind of that, so.
Well, now. Well, that wasn't awkward. Hello.
Hello there.
Welcome to the analyst desk.
Yeah,
So-
I'm behind the wrong desk. I'm supposed to be over there on stage.
No, you are right where you belong, baby. Right here.
Thank
Right,
you.
this analyst that's with me. Okay, well, guys, as you could tell, we brought back the one and only Incon. Welcome to the analyst desk. Give it up for Incon. He was such a good sport about that video. I thought that was actually pretty funny. So this will be the first time that well, actually, you were with me last year, thankfully. It was a super good time there. It was actually your first time working in the analyst S role, which is really cool. And then, I get an expert pro player opinion again. So I get Incon one more time. This is great.
It's wonderful to be back here, guys. I love this desk, and I wouldn't even miss this for Worlds.
All right. Okay, well, let's now dive into our next matchup here, which will be Licht Gaming versus Allegiance. So this is going to be an interesting one. We'll get to your thoughts in a second here. But I'm actually really excited for this Latin American team here. We've seen this region really come into their own and evolve, so to speak, throughout the years of the Smite World Championships, which is phenomenal. And this roster right here, one player in particular I want you guys to keep an eye for is going to be Sleeptight.
Sleeptight is one of their hunters that's been able to beat their MVP, I would say. We've actually heard rumors about him being able to solo Zaman on a more than consistent basis in their scrims.
Yeah, this hunter is the player who's really the backbone of the team. He's the one that wants to come out and play those carry characters. He really likes characters like Rama that have a strong laning phase and transition strongly, so expect him to be looking towards those gods.
Now, who's another player on this team that you think could really stand out here, Anatoly?
I think that their jungler is also going to be able to do a good job. I think it's NowiS as well that's going to be able to make a huge impact as well. Like the early laning phase that he does with his solo laner is always the key factor to them to get off that early momentum.
Yeah, so they run kind of that standard composition where they have the tank in the solo, they have the guardian as a tank, and so their jungler's free to run the assassins to try to play the carries, and we've seen them play a lot of really hyper carries like Outquang, characters that are probably going to be getting banned this tournament, but if it accidentally slips through, somebody's thinking, we'll be fine, they can find themselves in a lot of trouble.
Allegiance, though, do you think they've done their homework to be able to ban this Outquang against them?
100% they've done their homework. This is a team of people that are all all-star players, and you know that they're not taking anybody lightly, especially after watching even that Soar matchup earlier. If they had to do some last-minute studying, it's been done.
Yeah, that one caught a lot of people off guard. Soar, a fantastic team composed of players that have so much talent, and INTZ, I think, really made a statement. Had it not been for the dreaded Gold Fury push. It probably could have, we could have been singing a much different tune. All right, so we know all we need to know about this Lich roster. Let's actually shift our attention over to Allegiance. You mentioned this is a squad of all-stars, guys who have really shined. One player in particular I want to highlight is a very well-known guy within the Smite community, Weekend, playing in the jungle role. I watch his streams from time to time. He's quite the character.
He definitely likes to make his opinion heard every single time that he streams. It almost seems that it's like his way or the highway almost.
Yeah, it was almost hard to get the suit on over the knife in my back because of it. But no, he's honestly a really great player. And the thing that's the best about him is he has a very large god pool. He can pull out a guardian in the jungle, a warrior, an assassin. So that really gives his team a lot of leeway to work with it. Cyclone, if he wanted to, could play an assassin because you can just throw Weekend onto an Athena and it'll be just fine. Your composition will be perfect.
I mean, people joke about the 667 all the time when he was playing the Odin, but this is his strength as well. The fact that he's not going to hesitate to pull out these utility-style junglers to make his team work. He puts the team ahead of himself in terms of his god compositions.
One thing I do want to point out, an interesting little fun fact that I just realized, our first 3 matches of this event features Season 1 world champions, which is kind of absurd, you know, from Thor and now from LG. And then on the other side, Allegiance has MLC Stealth, who's coming in here in the mid role. Again, this guy, he's a fantastic player. I'll never forget Season 1 with his Scylla plays and what he was able to pull off there. But here we go. The draft phase is going to begin. Gentlemen, they're going to start off right away and get rid of the Ratatasker.
It's no surprise, honestly. It has such a huge impact in these ganks. You know, whenever you can find a multi-man knockup with a Ratatasker, the rest of the team is going to capitalize.
We see the Athena ban as well coming out from Licht. That's definitely a targeted ban because Team Allegiance can run it in 2 different roles. And so you might as well try to ban out the best possible person that you can. And if you can take 2 people out of a comfort pick, then it's a very smart ban.
And now with Sobek being banned and Terra, there's less Guardians on the table. And it's a good idea for Lich to take away Terra since their second pick. Team Allegiance with the first pick. I don't expect this Loki. I think this is a Weekend shot.
I think
back
there might
at
be
you.
a shot right there.
I think there's some shots fired.
Feels bad, man. There's the Jing Wei, though. That would be a very smart pick. We've seen Oceans play it very well, and honestly, I'm actually surprised that it got through. Because they went for that Athena target ban, they had to get rid of the Terra 90+% ban rate. You can't let it through, which means the Jing Wei, which is that next partial ban, got through.
And Oceans is one of these rookie all-star players that's been making a huge impact in that Hunter role. So now that he has the Jing Wei, he's never going to really fall behind. Even if you bully him out, he'll just be right back at it.
No, it's good, too, because the hardest matchup for Oceans is going to be against that star player, Sleeptight from Lich. And we see him get that Rama. That's the pick we thought he was going to be leaning towards, so they let him have it. So he has his comfort pick, but won't that be enough to take out the rookie MVP of the year, Oceans?
But now with Thor being locked in for Weekend, Sylvanus being hovered over also, do we expect for Allegiance to kind of sit in that duel lane trying to shut down Sleeptight?
It's interesting. We see the composition coming out right now. Jing Wei Sylvanus is going to have such a strong push lane, and we see Weekend on Thor. Now, if this character was on, you know, say Adapting or Andy, we knew exactly what would happen, and with Weekend on it, surely Weekend will do the same.
Surely Weekend will do the same on this Thor pick, but now a surprising pick coming out of Lich, their 3rd pick. Trying to find a way into it with the Thanatos. We've heard about it in the scrim rooms.
So an interesting part of this Thanatos that you might not be expecting is this is actually a flex pick for Lich. They have been running this in the jungle and the solo lane, so they can kind of wait on their next pick to figure out where they want to put it.
It makes sense to go Thanatos if you think about it, because a lot of these North American teams now have been running this invade strat with the Wrath. We saw not so successful start by Thor. However, Luminosity was a little bit the better end of it, but now with the Thanatos, if I'm Team Allegiance, do you want to invade against the Thanatos?
Thanatos is one of those characters where his damage is not guaranteed. He does have to land that Scythe, which is one of the harder skill shots in Smite. And so you can see them also banning out Erlong and Osiris on the side of Allegiance. They're banning out those very strong level 1 gods, which makes me think that they're definitely looking for the invade with the Thor.
I'm curious to see what's going to be locked in for CycloneSpin to match up with Weekend on the Thor. With this Bacchus being locked in, there's a lot of setup potential now for this Raw. You got the belly flop, the burp. You can easily confirm those snipes if you're on the side of Lich.
And that's going to be good too, because on the main stage, the nerves can kind of be getting to you. So if you're relying on that big money ult for your mid laner, you want to have a lot of setup. Just in case the nerves are getting there, they can have the easy setup. Just don't even have to think about it. Just hit your ability because they're not moving.
No, but Amaterasu will surely be moving once she maxes out her aura later on in the laning phase, but Amaterasu not the best level 1 unless you get the aura online. With us, if they invade as 3 though, with Sylvanus on PolarBearMike though, do you think that's going to be the option for Allegiance?
Yeah, Allegiance, a team that has been known to kind of, really go in and do a lot of damage. So when you combine the Thor, Sylvanus, AMA, you've got a root from Sylvanus at a start. You've got potentially spin or hammer on Thor. Both are super damaging abilities. And AMA can be kind of just the front line. They can get a passive, give you movement speed to give you bonus attack.
So apparently, Thoth has been locked in for Team Allegiance, not shown there on your graphic. This is going to be the first time we see Thoth in competitive play being played by the Cannon, MLC Stealth.
I mean, if you expect anybody to bring it out, it's going to be MLC. MLC known for playing gods that have ginormous damage ultimates. He's known for playing the Scylla. He played Kukulkan this season, so to see him on Thoth, a character that does an immense amount of damage, especially through walls, it's not surprising at all.
All right, gentlemen, so who do you have coming out on top here? I mean, certainly this is looking pretty good for ALG, especially considering that they were able to lock down that Xing wave with the Sylvanus. Gonna have a lot of presence there, but really, who comes out on top?
I think it's going to come down to the Thor versus Thanatos. I feel like there's just too much high risk with the Thanatos pick, and I think that Allegiance has a more stable, consistent pick.
Incon?
Well, they're going to need to win the early game. With that Thanatos, you're banking a lot on the first minutes of the game, so they need to come out strong, and they need to keep their momentum going, unlike INTZ earlier.
All right, well, will Latin America shock the world, or will North America thrive one more time? Let's go ahead and get ready for our next matchup and throw it over to our casters.
Thank you very much, Golden Boy. Can I just tell you that I love this draft?
Really, Tom? You like Thanatos? I had no idea. I didn't know.
Jokes aside, Thanatos, he's the anti-Thor. Thor goes up, Thanatos can chase him. Zerka's Barrage comes out, down comes the Silence. You want to invade? Oh well, tough noogies. You're not actually going to be able to do that. Lich on the other side, Thanatos will be in the solo lane, which is exciting, and NowiS is going to take the Awilix into the jungle. So we heard the Analyst discuss this. Now let's really break this down. What does solo Thanatos really bring to the squad?
It brings a lot of potential in the solo lane to rotate, to come for those jungle team fights. And the problem is that this Thanatos has not been tested against, NA. So I don't know if Allegiance has something to play against this or not, but we'll see.
I like the idea almost, right? Because you're going up against CycloneSpin, one of the quintessential solo laners in the world, one of the best players on Earth right now. And then you throw something at him that could either go really, really well or really, really poorly. High risk, high reward draft by Lich.
Sometimes when you see odd picks like this, it's because you want to throw the other player for a loop. And right here, Lich are going to make a loop of their own here into the enemy jungle, looking for it. Down comes the Wrath, and then invade, weaken, he's in trouble. Couple more shots. There's the sprint, can't catch up. Lich still chasing, they give it up. Weaken doesn't die.
Unbelievable play. Weekend is just looking over at PolarBearMike saying, I love you, because the protections from Wisps, the shell as well, just enough mitigation to get him out of danger there. But that's still bad news for Allegiance.
At the end of the day, the invade is successful. Lich go ahead, they don't get the kill, but they take away the speed buff from a Thor, a character who really depends on that.
Yeah, and that's why Sylvanus is picked early, just in case they get invaded. They have the shell, and they have the Wisp for extra protections.
Yeah, the heal was really, really big there, as well as, trying to get it out a little bit onto them, but this is a really good spot for Lich to be in. They heard it, you said it on the Analyst desk. They need early aggression on the right-hand side. Awilix, Thanatos, it doesn't get any more damaging than that in the early game, and so far for Lich, it's looking good.
And as I was saying before we saw that invade come out, the Thanatos, usually you see these odd picks to throw the player for a loop. Well, CycloneSpin has played the Thanatos solo before. The last time we saw him play Thanatos solo, he got a pentakill. So it's not something he's unfamiliar with at all.
Sleeptight going into a boxing match with Oceans, dodges the pull there from PBM. That would have spelled a lot of trouble for him. That's what I expect to see a lot of in this duo lane, or the new solo lane, if you will, on the left-hand side of the map. It's going to be these two, Oceans and Sleeptight, boxing. You heard it on the Analyst desk. Sleeptight is the player to watch for Lich.
So, speaking of new characters, MLC Stealth on this Thoth in the mid lane. You're a mid laner yourself, aggro. Why don't you break down what Thoth really brings to the table as far as how he affects the team?
Artillery damage, long-range shots, especially with that additional movement speed now on the one. They go a little bit faster. You can see how quick they are now. You can really do good damage from a distance safely, and then it's really all about that ult fun ball.
And that's MLC Stealth's playstyle. He plays those Kukulkans, he plays those rods, safe ultimates, he sits back and farms, wait for Weaken to gank the solo lane, stuff like that.
But one of the differences between Thoth and characters like Ra and Kukulkan is that his clear is nowhere near as good and it's nowhere near as safe. Sure, he has a dash, unlike those other two characters, but he has to be up close to the wave, and his early wave clear isn't great.
Yeah, and that's why Sylvanus is in mid lane, just to help him out, just to clear. And what can Ra do? He can't play aggressive there.
Keep this, the blink forward, nice knock up, but a nice stun. The beautiful stun coming out, saves CycloneSpin's life. Right there, if CycloneSpin does not drop the Wrath, he's for sure dead. Love the reaction time.
Really, really impressive play there by CycloneSpin. You called it, Tom. He would have been dead 100% because that dash would have been interrupted by the Feather Step. Remember, it is a root cripple at the same time, so you would have gotten silenced out and he would have been in a ton of trouble. Great reaction time there from Cyclone.
You only get one Wrath, though. No knock-up coming out there from the jungler, but supports here as well. Allegiance has shifted to the right side. So that's going to be a much different story for Lich. They really have to get out of here. They've spent far too much time.
This would have been a great engagement for Allegiance if Weaken was level 5. They got a ton of poke on the NowiS, but it doesn't matter because he doesn't have that Anvil of Dawn available.
And right now, Lich, this is the second round of that orange buff coming up, and there's Oceans getting the kill. Beautiful pull out of the Awilix, but it's PolarBearMike separated from the rest of the team. So the first blood goes to Allegiance.
There it is. Beautiful rotation from Oceans, though. That knockup is what sets up MLC Stealth to fire off that final judgment. It was on point. No surprise there. I mean, look, we've all seen the Reddit clip of MLC Stealth wiping 3 people off the face of the map. There it is. This new pick paying off early for Allegiance.
That right there, that's Allegiance just understanding their opponent. Lich goes ahead, and they take that first invade, and Funball, you're going to see the second. You're always going to at least give it a shot. So Allegiance shifts over all of their players.
Now in the middle lane, we get in a ton of trouble, gets knocked up, sniped away. NowiS gets the kill.
Nice answer back. PolarBearMike gets knocked up, but not a full commit. Here's the Hunter, a little bit more damage. Feather Step slows him down, and another kill for the mid lane. Double.
Love the rotation there from Sleeptight. He knew that fight was breaking out and came all the way from left lane.
That was a great rotation. The Jing wave wasn't in position to rotate just as much as Rama was, and Rama got so much damage out on the character.
And that's one of the things that Sylvanus does not do well against is slows. You saw him just using those astral arrows, slowing down PolarBearMike to make sure that the rest of his team could follow up. And that engagement was started by Allegiance. They thought they were in the right there, but then Weaken gets knocked up by NowiS, sniped away. Excellent fight back here from Lich.
And I love that call from Lich because it shows you that their communication's on point. I said no full commit, but you still saw them inching forward because the Hunter made sure his team knew that he was rotating. Without that information, you see the team back off, no kill. Beautiful communication right away, and that leads to a kill lead, 2-1, Lich up ahead.
And that's a big rotation for Sleeptight because we saw Oceans make the rotation to the right-hand side around that speed buff, setting up MLC Stealth for that kill, and then he gets the kill himself, actually. So Sleeptight was a little bit behind. You already expect to be behind a Jing and farm overall, but then to come in and grab an assist in that middle lane, that's something that you're looking for, right, Funball? When your a Hunter opponent rotates out of lane, you're looking to come in and make an impact in the next team fight.
That Rama rotation was really great because, as you said, the Jing already got a kill, and the net worth is literally 100 gold, and that's perfect. That's what a Rama wants against the Jing, not to be that far behind.
He's also already a little bit farther ahead in those Devourer's Gauntlet stacks, almost has it finished. So as soon as he's able to get those, Sleeptight is the late game carry. You could see how much early game Lich have on that right-hand side. It is all up to Sleeptight past, the 25-minute mark to make the big impacts.
Here we're going to visit the solo lane for the first time in a while. Thanatos brings out a lot of burst, but against the Amaterasu, she'll be able to really heal that up now that she's already level 9. That's really the jump-off point for Amy. When she hits that level 9, she's able to max a couple of the abilities out, and really that aura takes presence.
Another thing that's going to come into play there in that solo lane matchup is the fact that Death Scythe, even though Thanatos isn't building into any sort of real damage, it does percent-based damage as well. Sure, it's got great base numbers and really, really good scaling, but it's always going to do 10% of the god's maximum HP, and that's going to be extra relevant in the solo lane.
Nice little little feather step to secure those gremlins, and CycloneSpin gets stunned out. Ultimate out of weekend, gotta choose, lands right there. The rest of the team following up on the support, but a nice little jump away. Ultimate out of the mid lane. Nothing coming.
And that's the overcommit there to get away, using the snipe to make sure you zone it away. The flop, even though it could have been a decent engagement, that's all because you hear MLC Stealth charging that ultimate. That is such a big mind game.
And another good stun on a CycloneSpin. 2-on-1, still going aggressive. Will he pay for it? Sheento certainly wants to say yes. He at least forces the ultimate out. That's a win for Licht.
Yeah, very flashy play there from Cyclone. Thought he had enough damage. Didn't quite, and I like the decision making from Cyclone though. As soon as it didn't work out, he backs up. Didn't use that dazzling offensive offensively to try and get that kill because he knew NowiS would have jumped away on Suku.
Right there, I love to see the butterfly effect, if you will, of what happens from that initial invade. Licht invades once. But Licht invades once, and then you see the same play happen on the second time. Allegiance is forced to clear a speed buff with 3 people. That's not ideal, but they have to, because if there's not 3 people there, Licht will take advantage.
And Weekend is still behind from that initial engagement. Even though he didn't die to that first blood, barely got out with 1 HP, he had to back still, so he had to lose a ton of farm. You can see the net worth, he's down about 400 gold. He's down 2 levels, and that's not where you want to be on Thor.
No, definitely not. And the Thor wants to look for setup with PolarBearMike for that Thoth ult, and the Thoth ones, if MLC Stealth can get that ult off on actual players, then that's going to be a huge game changer.
And this team comp for Allegiance just really comes online in the mid game. We talked about how much early game Licht has on the right side, but all across the map, Allegiance has late game characters that also excel in the mid game. Thor, excellent from the from the get-go into the mid game, and then becomes kind of a setup character after that. But then you've got Thoth in the late game. Oceans can play this Jing way. That's good all game. Amaterasu as well. So I really like the balance that Allegiance's composition has.
Yeah, and I think Sylvanus was picked just for the Thoth to get out of that early game. And Thoth, he's already out of the early game. He's looking for those ults. He's looking for pressure, and they're trying to look for kills, especially on the Bacchus.
It's especially important to get Thoth those levels because his dash is going down in cooldown every time you level it. Hold that thought. Weekend in a bunch of trouble.
Forces the purification, but the Ra brings him down to half HP anyway. There's Thanatos landing on the backside, looking for the kill, can't find it. Over-aggressive with Sheento, knocked up, and he'll get cleaned up by NLC.
Stealth makes the final judgment onto Sheento. Now comes dunking down. Thor can't find the home. Stun onto the Bacchus, but nothing doing there. Gold Fury is available. No pull there from NowiS because he'd used it already. Wrath is up right now for CycloneSpin. This is going to be tough for Licht to fight into.
Yeah, I think Allegiance is taking the Gold Fury right now, 75% on the objective already. You see the support non-factor, can't even jump on in there as Bacchus, but Allegiance will still be stripped off of the objective because of an aggressive play from the jungler. Will he escape? There's support. Down comes the Hunter. Blinks away. Safely is NowiS.
And this is great for Licht. Allegiance just could have gotten a free Gold Fury at this stage, and they are. And in fact, the double
the price of 1.
Unbelievable. What a great play by Licht, but really it comes down to Allegiance just lost focus there, Funball. That's a free Gold Fury 10 times out of 10. Yeah, raw snipe, sure, but it's not doing 1250 at this stage in the game. They have to just commit to that Gold Fury. Instead, they chase kills, and then they lose 2 because of it.
I mean, you think Thoth has snipe, so does Ra. He got a really good double kill, and the Thanatos Hog was down. I felt like they should have just gone straight to Gold Fury, and Ra wouldn't have got that.
Unbelievable, and that's a rare misstep from a veteran-leaded team by, Weekend. He's been around forever. PolarBearMike, still a little bit newer to the scene, but you expect him to make a better call than that. Instead, Licht gets themselves back in this game. In fact, they're up 2K gold right now.
It's very interesting to me. I wonder, we of course these teams are prepared, but I want to know how prepared Licht is because, yes, Allegiance is a veteran team. Weekend is one of the veterans here, but if you want to point out an Achilles heel to him and his leadership thought process, this team will chase kills. And that aggressive play from the Thanatos on the backside that wound up backfiring, but the aggressive play out of the Awilix, if I know Allegiance well enough, I'm intentionally doing that because I know they're going to chase me.
And Weekend is very far behind right now, just hitting level 9. NowiS level 11. Even though he didn't go for purification, we see the blink paying off. He almost got a kill with it on the right-hand side, and there baits the rest of Allegiance in, and they're able to turn it around because of that.
Weekend, in almost every game he plays in LAN, he's generally behind, which we see again against us in the Super Regionals. He was also behind, and in this game he's also behind. But what he brings is in the mid game is his team fight potential, and he sets up his team for the kills.
Yeah, Weekend's been in every situation. He's been really ahead. He's been really behind. He's going to know how to play, but it doesn't mean it's any easier in that sort of scenario.
He's also had 667 damage.
Yeah, well, we're already past that, right?
CycloneSpin's going to get aggressed on, and as soon as the solo laner tells his team that, the Gold Fury push is on. 25% on the big... But it's stolen! There it is, the raw snipe. We mentioned it before, and the follow-up kill is good. Lich is in the lead.
You're kidding me! They get the Gold Fury, they kill PBM. Now Weekend in a ton of trouble. It's Stealth actually who's going to fall. NowiS able to pick him up.
And there's the continuation of the fight. 2 very low, but CycloneSpin is boxed out by this Awilix. Can't find the kills. Lich steal the Gold Fury, and they steal the lives of both MLC Stealth and PolarBearMike.
Again, I just don't understand the decision-making there from Allegiance. They didn't have their Wrath there. The Thoth Snipe's not going to do as much damage as Raw Snipe, so that one is not guaranteed, but it's been NowiS on this Raw. He's looked phenomenal. 4 kills out of Lich's 6. Steals the Gold Fury away there as well.
And I love this play coming out from Lich. You usually see the opposite. One team goes for the Gold Fury. They spend everything so the enemy team can take the tower. Well, Lich let Allegiance spend everything for that Gold Fury, solo with 1 ability, and with everything still up, Lich are able to steal away a tier 1 tower in the mid lane. 13 minutes on the clock. It's 6-2, and your Latin American sensations are leading by 5,000 gold.
But this is the design of Lich's team composition, right? Get ahead in the early game. The question for me is, Funball, is this enough of a lead for Lich to keep this game going in their favor?
I think they need to keep forcing the aggression and get left tower, get right tower, force team fights. Weaken is the problem right now because he's behind.
So I got to defend my man Thanatos real quick, because by every he definitely is an early game god. I'm not saying he's not, but I think he catches a bad rap. This character does translate into the late game. You can see the early CDR being built. We'll finish our discussion as the speed buff is being invaded by Lich, looking for a target. Weaken comes down and just misses.
Off the mark yet again, still only level 10. Didn't need the blink that time, didn't know he's able to escape very easily after getting that speed buff. But you're right, Tom. I think that Thanatos, by and large, regarded as an early game character, and with good reason, but you look at the kit, he also has 35 free penetration on his 2 whenever it's maxed out. And then the execute, that you can get executed at 40% of your maximum HP.
And with the right CDR build, you're gonna have that up every single minute. Look at the targets. Thoth is dead once a minute if Lich play it right. 60% scaling on all those abilities. You buy a Jotun's Wrath, you're already maxed out as far as your penetration is concerned. The Thanatos is an early game god, absolutely. But he doesn't die at 15 minutes. He can absolutely help this out.
Well, this is exactly what you wanted to see them do, Funball, is push down this right-hand side. Sleeptight by himself on the left, along there with Oceans, who's farming up that red buff, but without the creep wave, just not enough. This rotation from Allegiance is the right response. You don't want to be giving those up.
Look at the left side, though. Look at the left side. Ram by himself with a wave.
He should be able to get at least half of the tower damage, and he should be able to fox Jing at this point. He has the Egg Vial, and he has tier 1 of Executioner, most likely, and he should be able to, keep the pressure.
And the fact that Oceans was the one who made the rotation and got the first blood on the right-hand side, and now it's Sleeptight, who's 0-0-5, been a part of almost every kill for Lich. Without even getting those last hits, he's been a part of so many, gotten those assists, farmed so well. We saw Oceans miss a wave there that Sleeptight was able to get. He's the one ahead of the Jing Wei.
I mean, talk about that presence there, Funball, because Sleeptight could have moved over and he didn't get as much damage on the tower as he wanted, but more importantly, it forces Oceans to stay in lane.
Yeah, and usually we see Oceans playing aggressive in lane, and I think he recognizes that Sleeptight is a really good ADC, and he has the potential to actually outbox him as well.
Is that something that whenever you're going up against, last year at the World Championship, you guys play a new region that you've never played before, how much of that is a feeling out process in lane against your Hunter?
For the first 5 minutes, I usually like to test the enemy Hunter, try and get a good feel of him, and if the enemy Hunter is a boxer, then, usually I would just
you're ready to go.
I'll just go in. Or if it's like someone like Amaterasu who plays for the late game, then you just got to play, how you can.
Then you just got to get Artemis and blink on him, right?
Oh, you could do that, yeah.
Yeah, that's the play right there.
You guys are out of your minds. 16 on the clock. Lich still has this lead, but it's been quiet for a while. How long can Lich stay quiet without it being a problem? Because this composition, I think it's less about the early game and more about just keeping the momentum and the tempo up. If they slow it down, Allegiance can really turn around.
It's this next Gold Fury that's about to spawn right now. That's what Lich is waiting for, but they're hoping that they could keep Weekend down enough to make sure he doesn't hit level 12 before that. He's at a 4-level deficit right now, and the fact that he doesn't have a second relic at the 16-minute mark is a big boon for Lich. They should be looking to force this as soon as Gold Fury spawns. Don't let Weekend get back and get that second relic.
Another speed invade, and I like what Lich does here. They invade again, but they don't hard commit. They're just letting Allegiance know that they have to be trepidatious around this point in the map, and it forces out the ultimate out of Weekend. Just like that, no hard commit from Lich. They don't overextend. They just say, hey, Allegiance, you gotta be careful.
This is exactly where I'd like to see Lich just go directly to the Gold Fury. And you could see Sleeptight and NowiS doing that right now.
Thanatos takes to the sky. It's more defensive than offensive. Nobody really in a position to either be executed or otherwise. But again, Allegiance, 3 players on the right side. Gold Fury's pulled. Oceans is here. He's gonna leash it, but there's the aggression. Lich and Allegiance steal it this time. Beautiful play by MLC still.
Able to steal it away. NowiS just running for his life. Sleeptight up into the sky, looking for the site. CycloneSpin able to pick up the Raw. Sleeptight the next to fall. Stealth gets another kill.
You said it was all about this next Gold Fury for Lich. Well, ALG steal it away, and they take 2 players. Hey, does that look familiar? That's the exact play we saw out of Lich.
And that's the difference between tenured teams and other regions. Lich should have stayed on that Gold Fury. That was their chance to get it.
Yeah.
But however, they just left it and it leached onto Oceans, which was still in the Gold Fury pit, and which gave MLC Stealth a chance to actually ult.
And the fact that Raw Snipe wasn't up is the big difference maker there. At first I thought it was, and so, you know, Oceans is walking up, who cares, just snipe it away. But when you don't have that guaranteed secure, sure, Celestial Beam's the most damaging ability in that scenario. So theoretically you can get it, but if something like that happens where you leash it, reset a little bit of HP, and then all of a sudden Final Judgment comes screaming through the wall and steals it from you, your lead is now not nearly as big. The good news for Lich is that they still have experience leads where it matters, and that's in the jungle right now. Weekend is still behind, even with that Gold Fury.
Identical plays. Mid laner uses the ultimate to steal away the Gold Fury. 2 players die, mid tower goes down for the count, all because of a heavy commit from the enemy team on the right side of the map. Love the way that one worked out. Lich, they had a 5,000 gold lead. Allegiance intelligently play, and they cut that down to 2.
We're gonna have to wait and see what Lich's next game plan is, because after you lose a Gold Fury like that, Funball, it kind of takes the wind out of the sails. Even though they're still in the lead and should still be looking to play aggressive, I'm wondering if they're going to play that way. Ooh, I like the pull. Almost got it. Forced the purification there out of MLC Stealth, but now PolarBearMike and MLC Stealth coming around the corner. Can't quite find the pull, though.
That's a perfect scenario right there. You get the Okie Doke beads and the ultimate out of the Thanatos, narrowly avoiding Weekend. That's an absolute win for Lich, though, as far as getting those beads off of the Thoth.
Yeah, as long as Sheento can come back into the mid lane and protect the tower, if Allegiance decides to push, what I would do if I was Allegiance right now is go to the Fire Giant, try and force a fight. They have the advantage right now, even though only 2 ultimates are down.
Yeah, the fact that MLC Stealth's ultimate is down may dissuade them from doing that, though. He tried to shoot it off without a whole lot of charge, and you could see that's why Sheento was able to get out by the skin of his teeth. He's also picked up that Shield of Regrowth, and we've heard a lot about this item being picked up on Thanatos, and I personally love it, especially in lane, because remember, whenever he uses his auto attacks or any ability and kills a minion, he takes their soul, gets a little bit of a heal, and that procs that Shield of Regrowth movement speed.
Yeah, and Thanatos with the Shield of Regrowth, I play against it every day in ranked, and it's so annoying. It's so hard to deal with. He has so much movement speed, and when someone's under the threshold, he gets more movement speed.
Yeah, it's up to 60% at max rank whenever Scent of Death is all the way up. So whenever you press 2 and someone's in kill threshold, you're getting 60% movement speed, you're getting 35 free penetration, and then you've got that additional movement speed from Shield of Regrowth if you're able to hit that death scythe from a distance.
And plus the scythe is slowing the enemy down. You're not going to escape the Thanatos anyway. The shield just makes it even more annoying. CycloneSpin taking the fight. He's going to get hit by the scythe, but no big deal. Able to heal it up with a nice little aura switch.
This is the time that Allegiance wants. This is fine for Allegiance right now. They've hit the mid game now. MLC Stealth has the penetration online. We can finally finish 3 items, and you could see that they're going to want to group up and really take those fights, because this is where their composition starts to shine. CycloneSpin is going to have that aura max. You can really team fight well. They've got healing. They've got the protections from the wisps and the auras as well.
Nice little stun on a weekend. Ultimately, not going to be a big deal. It's on the support. But Allegiance really want this tier 1 tower on the right side. jump on top. No follow-up coming out from Licht, but 4 players have made the rotation. And you can see Sleeptight still staying on that left side of the map.
And that's why you'll see Licht just back up here. Right now, Sleeptight's probably just calling, give up that tower, I'll get theirs.
Oh, PolarBearMike gets hit by the ultimate out of the Ra. Big trouble, up and down. Sheento gets the execute. Weekend looking for a target, gets the stun on 1. Sheento's still safe, but his job is already done. Licht get the kill, and that's why Thanatos is relevant.
Very, very good execute there from Sheento. Perfectly timed because that heal was coming out from PolarBearMike. Could have put him up above that threshold. And that time, that's the first real impact we've seen Sheento make on this Thanatos since that early invade. And all the while, like I mentioned, Sleeptight gets that tower on the left.
While I liked Allegiant's call, I liked Lich's call better. Rama got the tower, they got the kill, Thanatos got the execute, they get another tower.
And that's the thing when it comes down to the tier 1 tower on the right side go down. Licht get both tier 1s on the either side of the map, stretch their lead to 3K again. MLC is here behind the corner, but there's not much he can do against all of those players. CycloneSpin alone will force Licht off the tower into the jungle.
So I know I said the last Gold Fury was important, but this Gold Fury, it's really, really important. Like I said, Allegiance's composition starting to come online, but Licht is still in a really good spot. They still have a lot of power spikes available to them, and they're still doing a lot of damage with those early to mid-game characters like Awilix and like Thanatos. So if they're able to get this next Gold Fury, it would really continue that snowball and give them more momentum, because I think that's something very important for a region that, any region outside of North America or Europe hasn't really had the success at the world stage. Getting those early kills and just getting that momentum going, it can really will you to a victory, basically.
I feel like before Allegiance look for another fight, they need Jing to get another level and keep up with this Rama, because this Rama, although he's not been in many team fights and been split pushing, he's been a huge factor to Allegiance's loss.
And that's a great sign for Licht that Sleeptight hasn't even had to do the heavy lifting yet, because I know that they trust him to do that in the late game. You're going to be seeing Thanatos execute used to finish off people hit by Rom snipes, things of that nature. So the fact that he's just quietly farmed, he's top of the net worth right now, most gold in the game, he's in a really good spot to come in and make a big impact. 5 items completed already.
Well, because real talk, if you look at Allegiance, sure, MLC Stealth is going to be your star power on the team, and he's going to be the guy murdering people with the ultimate, but Oceans is your guaranteed dedicated damage, and Sleeptight is doing his job by keeping Oceans in this lane. I mentioned it before, Funball, Sleeptight, he could be a part of these team fights, being flashy and everything, but he's boring, and he's just PvEing, and it forces Oceans to stay on that left side of the map, because if he leaves, he loses his tower like we just saw.
Yeah, and Jing needs to be in these fights right now, especially with Weekend being behind compared to the Awilix. And the Thanatos execute, which happened in the last fight, is what needs to happen in more in constant team fights.
The problem is that you can't focus too much onto that Sylvanus now. He's got so many items online. He still has that shell. I don't even know if he was able to use it that last fight, but he's going to be very, very tanky, and so it'll be difficult to get him down in that execute threshold, but if you can, that is such a big swing right away.
And that's the beauty of the Thanatos. It's in, or any character with the execute, even talking about Ao Kuang, it's those hard to kill characters. You don't want to waste your execute on an easy-to-kill mage or a hunter that's sitting in the middle of the lane. It's those characters that you just can't kill, especially the healers. You finally bring them down to 40%. That's another minute bringing them from 40 to 0. You cut it off short, and then you let the rest of the team fight snowball. That's exactly what Licht are going to be focusing on, using that execute to take out the harder-to-kill characters, like Cyclone and PolarBearMike.
Beads forced there onto Ra by Weekend is able to get those. I don't think that Ra needed to use those there, and that's a big loss. We saw how big of a loss it was earlier on when our characters lost their purification. Now in this Gold Fury contention, you can see Weekend is going to look for Kha'Zix on the backside, as well as CycloneSpin. You know he's going to be diving that Ra without purification.
Weekend here in the jungle as we're in our 25th minute, 7-4. And the Latin American team have the lead, 3,000. Not as large as their largest game, but they're starting the Gold Fury. It's a sneak. It's now finally known. There comes the ult. And Licht are able to just sneak away the gold. They stole that.
Allegiance just caught sleeping. We saw CycloneSpin on the right-hand side, so they knew the Wrath wasn't there. They had the Wrath from Sheento on that Thanatos, so they used the Raw Snipe to get into the execute threshold and then get it and get out.
You know, it's interesting. Allegiance are here, they're the wild card team, which means they didn't have an extravagant season. They weren't some of the best, but after winning the wild card, they're able to completely reorganize their roster. And this is a scary roster on paper, but we always talk about synergy and players coming together. Funball, Allegiance have had a short time. How important is that synergy, and do you think that's the problem here versus Lich?
So that will affect their team plays, their team calls, and how they actually play compared to other teams. And as you can see, they lost a free goal Fury.
Yeah, because we're seeing strong individual play out of the individuals. You can see Cyclone making the flank. He gets a good shot, the steal from MLC, but it's the come-together team fights that look a little, I'll use the word wonky. They're just not as strong as some of the other squads here.
Very surprised we didn't see NowiS pull PBM back in. The rest of the team was on a pretty much full retreat, and he gets belly flopped by Bacchus and then no pull in. I guess the Lich really did not want to take that fight in particular. Purification's still down for Ra.
Yeah, and the Ra had no beads there, so I feel like they just wanted to play a bit more passive, just wait. There was nothing that Allegiance could do there. If they went in, then the Bacchus could ult, and the Thoth has not really been a factor in the late game as it should have been, aside from the Gold Fury steal.
Yeah,
Well, so
he's top of the player damage charts right now, but a lot of it's been poke. We saw him poke out Sheento right there, and he's going to be able to heal up using his abilities and passive, so it's really not quite as relevant. Of course, you also have the Ra in the mid lane to heal up any additional poke. So it's really down to MLC Stealth and Oceans, now that we're in these late game scenarios, to make those big plays. We saw Ra make the big plays for Lich early on in this game, and it's time for the established stars of North America to do the same.
And here's really what I was worried about this Thoth, is this is the first time we're seeing him in competition, is that he just doesn't have enough buttons. The window doesn't do any damage, and the roll is going to hurt a little bit. And then you've got your first ability that is hard to actually execute. He seems to be all about the ultimate. Ra can do the same thing, but also heal his teammates. That blind is annoying. Celestial Beam does work. So there's a lot of different stories in that mid lane. You know, Aggro, I really want you to explain to me why the Thoth selection.
Well, he also brings a lot as far as sieging goes. Hold that thought. Ocean's in a bunch of trouble. Big crit coming out of Sleeptight Force. The Sanctuary doesn't even need the snipes because Ra's got him for you.
Weakened brought down to half HP as well. But like you said, man, Kha'Zix 5-1-3 for the Latin American mid laner. What a fantastic game he has. And what doesn't show up there is the stolen gold here.
This dude's a beast. I mean, he's just been unreal this entire game. Ocean's there, finally decides he wants to go and get his own tower, but stays way too long. No support there, and two characters he can't really fight 2-on-1.
Out of this world. Just incredible. The siege on the left-hand side. Featherstep does get purified out. Up in the sky. There it is. Gets the execute. Weaken chases. Exactly what he needs to do, but a belly flop saves the life of the solo lane Thanatos.
Stealth able to pick up the Thanatos. NowiS fighting too. Stealth getting chased down by Kha'Zix on this Ra. Now it's PolarBearMike. Sleeptight picks him up. 3 dead for Allegiance.
And that's exactly what Lich planned with this draft. Shut it down to a 5-on-4 immediately. You might lose the Thanatos after the execute, but you shut it down to a 5-on-4, and you're able to continue and snowball the team fight. Tier 2 tower goes down 10-5. Latin America's leading by 6,000.
And they might lose this Tier 1 or Tier 2 out tower in mid as well. They have no ultimates available. NowiS taking a lot of damage, forced to use purification, but they get it anyways and get out. Lich looking super clean right now.
So Aggro, do you think this is Allegiance just playing poorly, or do you think it's Lich just playing amazingly?
I think it's a little bit of both. We saw the Gold Fury just snuck away, and that's really inexcusable at this level at the world stage. You cannot just give away a free Gold Fury while you're doing your own red buff, but Lich has been on point. The mechanics have been solid. We've seen amazing snipes coming out of Kha'Zix in the middle lane as well, but here Lich cannot get caught sleeping. Thanatos TPing in, but his Wrath is down. Kha'Zix around the left side can't find the snipes this time.
25% on the Fire Giant. Allegiance is going to peel off and look for the kills against Lich. Dashing forward onto Sheento is going to be CycloneSpin. Still can't find the kill. Very low is MLC Stealth, but his team body blocks beautifully. But more importantly, they peel off the fire.
Yeah, and I like that call from Allegiance just to try and get the fire.
And they're going to start it. Lich starts the Fire Giant this time. Weakens in the sky.
Weakens in the sky, but who's he gonna go on? I mean, no one. Like, Sheento is basically full health because of the heal. CycloneSpin has the Wrath, so you know that Lich isn't gonna commit to that Fire Giant, but they get Weaken's ult for free. Yet again, Weaken still only level 17. He's the same level as Lich's support.
Lich have the aggressive stance right here. They're gonna start the Fire Giant dance, and they're gonna be the aggressive ones because they have the upper hand. 7K in the lead. This is their team fight as long as they execute correctly. There's the jump forward, not in range for the pull in instead the blink on the left side. Right side we see, up, Thanatos goes up, no heal, no deal, it's a win. 11 kills, Sheento gets 3 of them.
I love the split up there. NowiS blinks in and makes sure PolarBearMike is a free target, takes away the damage dealer, and now Fire Giant being looked at, Wrath available for Sheento. CycloneSpin has his as well, but he can't get in there. Let's get the Fire Giant.
And they're gonna look for the aggression on the right side. There's not a tier 1, just a tier 2. Oceans is the target. Knocked up, no pull. Aegis is used. Silence is good. Deathsight is strong. Through the wall. Down he goes. Mid lane, out of control.
Are you kidding me? This man is unbelievable. He's been on point with almost every snipe. 5 members with Fire Giant pushing down the right-hand side.
Tier 2 goes down. Phoenix is next. 3 players from ALG allowed to play defense, and they look cautious as all hell aggro. Phoenix goes down free.
Nothing that Allegiance can do right now. Second Phoenix being looked at. Sleeptight just doing so much damage. CycloneSpin trying to make sure that he can keep him off the Phoenix, but he gets executed by Sheento.
And the mid Phoenix is in trouble now. Weekend has no ultimate. MLC gets a kill, but NowiS answers back. 2 players to play defense. Ladies and gentlemen, Latin America, Licht are walking into the throne room. The Titan is under attack. They're not going to commit too hard just yet. They've got to play it careful. But that has set a statement. They have said, we're not afraid of you, and we're down to walk into your business.
What an unbelievable game Lich has brought today. I mean, this is just craziness right now. Up 10K, 14-6, 4 members with Fire Giant, and the only reason they can't end there is because MLC Stealth comes up big with that final judgment.
And here's the deal. If you play your cheese comp right, it's the best of 1, okay. If you execute, blah, blah, I find what's so impressive here is that Lich has drafted a specific strategy, stuck to it, and executed that strategy successfully. Now, they haven't won the game yet, but there's a lot of different ways to win Smite games, and I think this is one of the most impressive ways.
And this is got to be so tough for Allegiance because, Fun, you could probably talk to me about this. You would come in to expect the win. You guys were one of the favorites coming into Super Regionals, and then you kind of let yourselves down with that performance. How do you try and bounce back from that and still in the middle of a game?
They need to take a chill pill, you know, just relax for a bit and just take a step back and just think about how they can get back into this game. There's 2 Phoenixes down. It's not impossible. We've seen 3 Phoenixes down, and the Titan's been on like half HP, and people still come back from the game. The only thing they need to do is make sure these raw snipes don't hit.
That's very important. Careful. And you can see the damage. I mean, the turnaround potential for Allegiance is there in the team fight. Look at how much damage MLC Stealth has. I mean, he's got the Ratatouille, he's got the Soul Reaver. He can absolutely 100-0 a carry. So Lich needs to be very careful with their positioning, as well as Oceans. If he gets the opportunity, he can gas pedal through this team fight with all that crit.
Which is why, I mean, the last play we saw on the right side, Kha'Zix was in the jungle. He ulted through the wall. He understands that he's going to be a target. It's up to his teammates to provide the vision, the opportunity, and the crowd control, and they're down to do so.
Sheento.
14-6, 34 minutes on the clock, starting the siege left side.
CycloneSpin just trying to keep Sleeptight off of this. Phoenix forces the purification, but takes a lot of damage. Sheento up in the sky, finds the execute.
And there's the kill. 5-on-4 immediately. Beautiful belly flop. Sheento in trouble up top. Gonna be chased by Oceans. Kha'Zix as well. Heal's gonna be strong. Ult off the mark, but Sleeptight. Good night. The double kill for the Latin American.
That's
Ladies and gentlemen, 1 player alive. No Phoenixes whatsoever. Titan is going down. Lich over Allegiance.
What an unbelievable game. Lich came out with a plan and executed it perfectly. I'm speechless right now.
Look at them bark. This is the most excited I have ever seen a team. They're barking at the opponent. They're barking at each other. These guys, they came from every single corner of Latin America. There is maybe 6 people in this arena that expected them to win, and 5 of them are on stage. They took the game, and they did it impressively.
Yeah, when you're an underdog like that, coming into World Championships and beating an NA wildcard, it feels amazing.
And Allegiance looked great at Super Regionals. I mean, they went undefeated in their group play. I mean, they just looked phenomenal. And then they had all this extra time to prepare, and it just didn't come together. Lich just looked like such a more cohesive unit than Allegiance did.
I got to take a break after that one.
Well, man.
Golden Boy, just take it away.
Oh my goodness. As a Latino, I just want to say Viva Lich Esports, that's what's up. Super excited, and I cannot even believe what we just saw.
This is a game to go down in Smite history. This is the first time that a North American or a European team has lost outside of those two regions.
I mean, I can't believe. I mean, clearly, Incon was the problem.
Clearly, Incon was the problem.
What a game. I mean, we have seen some great games already, but that was just, I mean, that is Smite right there. That is other regions coming up to the table and getting ready to kick butt, man. That's what we want to see. We want to see the other regions growing, and that is the biggest thing you can do is win a game on the world stage.
They definitely done their homework. They picked a draft that executed well to their style. The Thanatos solo, a lot of teams will look at that and be like, that's a joke pick. There's no way that's ever going to work. But you get into the mid to late game, and we saw all these executes that was able to, you know, either pick off CycloneSpin, pick off PolarBearMike, and then it was just a 5-on-4. And then we got to talk more about NowiS, though.
So that was the best raw play I've seen outside of the best. I mean, that was, his snipes were on point. At one point, he beamed Oceans coming down from the Jing ult, knowing exactly where he would land on like that 3-second travel time. That is absurd mechanical skill.
And if he continues this for the rest of the day and for the rest of the tournament, they already qualified now to the brackets. They're not going to be knocked down from here, so we will see them in day number 2.
There's so much preparation for Lich Esports went into this game. One has to wonder, can they do it again? But before we answer that question, I do have something. We're seeing NowiS just shred, right? He is absolutely
Look at this one, though.
Shredding. Look at these snipes. That's stupid. Okay, he just drained the oceans. All right, it was awesome. But I do need to ask you about the Thoth pick, because why not just go with the Giannis? Like yes, Thoth is a great god with, as you guys mentioned, a lot of one-shot potential in the late game. But we've seen the global presence of Giannis be such a factor in these matches. Do you think that that played a little bit of a role here, Anatoly?
I think it absolutely did play a role. I think that they were relying on Weaking setting up MLC stealth a little bit more just to be able to confirm a lot of these hits coming out of Thoth.
Honestly, I've got to disagree a little bit. I don't think that this game is actually on stealth. I think that he played a very strong game. We saw a couple of fights where his ultimate was the only reason why things started to turn around, because he got that Thoth one-shot ability off, which Giannis doesn't really have unless you're using the ultimate from across the map. So I think this came down to kind of poor team fights, people getting picked off. We saw PBM a couple of times trying to get into the fight as the Guardian. You have to get the vision, but sometimes you just get picked off because of it.
But imagine if Allegiance had portals to be able to get in and out of combat now. Obviously, we could potentially have seen Allegiance juking out maybe some of those executes coming out of Sheento as well.
That's true. It would have given them a lot more mobility, but at the same time, I mean, were they expecting the Thanatos solo? I only was because, you know, I had seen it before, but they had certainly not seen it before.
Yeah, that caught a lot of people off guard, and those executes were insane. Love it. Mint. All right, well, let's go ahead. Toss it over to the stage with one of the members of Lich Esports to get their thoughts. Evan, over to you.
Ladies and gentlemen, what a performance that was. Give it up for Licht. Shocking the crowd, surprising us all. You've got the fans already here in Atlanta. This is Sebas. He was there playing that Bacchus, that support role. Talk to me about this win. A lot of people didn't expect it, but we were talking backstage. You guys did.
Yeah, we were really prepared. We screened against INT, the Brazilian team, and they were really good. Also, the China team. We actually practiced a Thanatos solo with the China team, and we saw that it worked very, very like useful. And we know that it will like be a surprise, and nobody will expect, and nobody will complain that. So we just did it.
You seem prepared in terms of your strategy and drafting, in terms of the way you approach the game. But what was interesting is NowiS, the one who was hitting all of those raw snipes, is a newer player added to your roster.
Yeah, because our new mid laner, Kokosi, he couldn't get a visa for any other reasons. So we have to get NowiS that he's the mid laner, the team that we play in the regional for this world.
So what you're saying is your normal mid laner couldn't be here, and you had to, you know, settle with NowiS hitting like raw snipes, you know, blind and basically stealing Gold Furies and stuff.
So it was like a few days just to practice, but we know how to lead with that.
Are you excited about your opportunities now? You've secured a spot in the quarterfinals. What's next for you and your team? Where do you guys go from here?
We have a lot of things to show. This is just the start, so get ready.
Awesome. Well, that's going to do it for us here. Give it up one more time for Team Licht, coming from Latin America, surprising everyone, taking home a spot in the quarterfinals for now. We'll see where they end up. After this, we're going to go to a quick break, and we'll be right back with more Smite action here at the hi-rez Expo, presented by Twitch Prime.
Drawn our attention to a new battlefield. A dry, foreign battlefront, battered by the winds and sands, boiling with water. This is not just a battle of mortals. Creatures fey and wild also enter the fray. And gods, the lords of other lands war here. A larger struggle is afoot. I see them war and I hunger, and I anger. What is this that causes gods terrible and diverse to clash into war, to take on the very titans? We see our path clear. The Celts should not be absent from this fight. The Morrigan comes to feed on blood and chaos.
We've been wanting to bring back an Egyptian art style to Smite really, really badly. So we were looking at maps that we wanted to do some design iterations on. We were thinking Clash, and Egyptian art is just so cool and the environment's so cool. We had to make that happen.
We decided that Clash needed a remake. We read a lot of your feedback, and we felt like there are a few things we can do to make it a little better for you.
We've had an Egyptian map in the past. Everybody really likes the Egyptian pantheon as a theme. They have cool, interesting statuary and architecture, and it's very different from the Greek locations.
We worked with designers to make sure that we still keep with the same design specs of the old Clash, but that now we can fit it with Egyptian art.
So we wanted to make a lot of changes to Clash, but somewhat keep it recognizable as Clash. So we're keeping our 2-lane game mode with tower pushing, but with a series of changes here involving a lot of new jungle camps and a couple geometry changes.
Each lane is arted out just a little bit differently so that each lane is different enough, but still fills within the same space.
So we have a new mechanic in the jungle, one that we have not introduced in any of the maps, and it's unique to Clash only. We have the typical red and blue buff. We removed the Harpy camp and put another blue buff there so that 2 people on your team can have blue buff. Now, at some point in the game, the jungle camps will evolve.
So you're actually going to see the blue buff and the red buff get increasingly harder to kill, and as well provide increasingly stronger buffs as the game goes on. And this also ties in with the new jungle boss.
I've been wanting to get Apophis into the game for a long time. He's kind of the antithesis of Ra. He's kind of a giant snake made out of slate. We did a bunch of various concepts to him, but man, he looks amazing. He's kind of viper and a cobra mixed together, and he's kind of 30 feet tall, coming up out of the sand. It's going to be really awesome.
He is just meant to, be the guy to cause destruction in the map. He causes chaos. He shows up in the middle, and he just does this giant entrance that, that team-wide damage.
So along with the new environment and the new jungle camps, we also have the new lanes and towers and minions and Phoenixes, Titanses. Those are all completely remodeled with a new art style. And actually the Phoenixes have a little bit of a gameplay change to them, where they're dealing a different type of attack that's more consistent and damage ramps up over time, more like a beam as opposed to a series of slower shot fireballs.
And this is cool because, you know, if you can step in and out and try to, like, you know, tank for your team, you don't have to be a guardian to do it, you can be anyone. But at the same time, it gets dangerous really fast if you're standing in the area. So you want to look out for that. If you're, you know, taking too much damage, it's probably from the Phoenix.
So it'll play a little differently from the other maps in terms of the way the Phoenix damage interacts with you. It'll make the Phoenixes a little different from the tower. I think it'll be definitely fun and interesting.
You know, I hope players really have fun with this, and I hope that they find it's super appealing. And I want to bring people into a world that they'll remember and want to spend as many hours as possible in.
So a lot's gone into it, not only from a look standpoint, but from a gameplay standpoint.